alaikum. Hi everybody, welcome back to another Saturday. If you are already subscribed, thank you, I appreciate you. If you are a new person watching this, welcome to the family. Today we are going to talk about didactic year, how I studied for classes, how I studied for exams, how I survived, and just general tips on how to succeed basically in didactics. So where do I even start? PA school is literally like drinking from a fire hose. Like they tell you straight up, PA school is like drinking from a fire hose. What you did in undergrad may not work. You're gonna put in the time, the hours, the sweat, all of it. There's no slacking, there's no falling behind. You blink and you feel like you're years and years behind. Honestly, PA school has been the most stressful time of my life. I think some people actually end up getting depression and anxiety. I started having palpitations in PA school, like for the first time in my life. And to these days, like I get palpitations just thinking about PA school. I don't mean to scare you. If you are in PA school right now, if it's your first semester, if you're your second semester, congratulations. It takes a lot to get into PA school. You are going to graduate no matter what happens, even on the days that you feel like you don't know what you're doing. It's very normal to have all those thoughts in your head. Like I can't even count how many times I questioned myself, my abilities, like whether I would survive, whether I would graduate, like how can I possibly do this? And it's just so much work, wanting to quit, and just overall feeling like you're way over your head for actually thinking you're going to succeed. You're not the only one that feels that way. Everybody gets those feelings. But rest assured, everybody ends up graduating, passing the boards, and becoming a wonderful PA. That being said, let's get to it. How did I study during didactic? What did I do? So the first semester of PA school is basically trying to figure out what works, right? You will try to study like you did in undergrad. For some people, it works for them and that's good. For most people, it doesn't work. Like a lot of us had to, switch and try different things, and through like just trial and error, find like a way that works. For me, I think it was like maybe the second or third semester that I actually realized that what I was doing was working. And then for the rest of the time, I just ended up doing that. By the way, how to study for rotation is totally different from how I studied. At least for me, how I studied for rotation was very different from how I studied for didactic year. So I'll make a separate video about like studying for rotations and going into that. For this one, what are some of the things that I have done, right? Schools usually, they send you PowerPoints of the material. Sometimes it's like 380 slides, 400 slides, and you have so many classes during the day, and you have 4 exams per week, and it's just it goes, and it's so fast, and you barely have room to breathe. So how do you stay on top of that? Like how do you not fall behind, basically? So what I did for me was, certain classes are easier for you than others. So for me, the classes that I struggled the most with, what I would do is I would get the slides and I will go over the slides the day before we go over the lecture. If the slides are like 500 and I feel like there's no way I can get through all of this, I would just YouTube that section, like that topic, and then I'll watch YouTube videos. For example, if it's like anti-arrhythmics in pharmacology, and I just that night for whatever reason I'm not able to go through the slides, or I just don't feel like going through the slides, just to kind of have like an idea, so that everything is not foreign to me in class, I would just listen to a YouTube video about anti-arrhythmics. at least the drugs and like the mechanism of action of the drug, so that when I go to class, at least I have like some idea and I can be more engaged because I remember the words and I remember the names and I remember, the mechanism of action. So it's easy to engage when you know what's going on in the class. So I highly recommend, even if it's just like 10 minutes of zooming through the slides, going over the slides at least once. That being said, there are days where you're just not gonna do it. Go over the slides or listen to a YouTube video, and that's okay. It will happen probably like multiple times. When that happens after class, I go over the material that same day. And I will try to take notes on the things that are really hard for me, and I will review that a couple of times. And then I would go to Quizlet and go over that topic again and just run through a question that somebody already posted about that topic. The second thing is asking questions in class. If you have a question about something and you do not understand it, ask the question. If you are the shy person that doesn't feel comfortable asking the question in class, after class, ask that question to the instructor. It really does help it when they explain it to you one-on-one. The last thing you want to do is you just take it as it is, go try to study yourself, and you don't get it fully, and then you try to wing it, and then the exam comes like that same week or like the following week, and then you fail that section. Like, you don't want that happening to you. For our program, if you fail a section, you would have to pass that section on the final. So you really want to make sure you're understanding things. For me, memorizing didn't work for me. I don't think memorizing works at all in PA school. Learning like the pathophysiology, like the mechanism, the way things work, like what's actually happening, like understanding is what is going to help you. Because if you just memorize something and then they word the question in a different way, then you're not going to remember that, or you will forget. Like when you memorize something, you can easily forget. But when you understand how something works, you're able to answer that question even if it comes back to you months and months later. So after class, I would go over the PowerPoints. If I don't understand, I'll go watch a YouTube video. And then after that, I will go and do like some Quizlet questions on that topic. The other thing is study groups. Like, you have to join a study group. I don't know what I would have done without study groups in PA school. I think I was like in multiple study groups. The first study group that I joined, did not work for me, and then I think I joined another one, and then it didn't work for me. And the reason why it doesn't work is it's not because you don't like the people. It's more like you study together and then your studying techniques are different, so you feel like you're not benefiting much from the study group. Like, you like hanging out with the people, you're talking, you're joking, but after the session you realize that I still don't understand this topic, or like I don't think I get how that person explained. Like, I need to find somebody that would explain it better to me. And actually, one of the things that I did for me is, like, when I realized that my first study group was I wasn't benefiting from it in terms of like understanding the material, I would just ask like another classmate, like, hey, like this topic is just like really hard for me, could you just explain it to me? And then like one of the guys in my class, like I remember one topic, like he explained it to me and then I really understood it, and I was like, I need to be in a study group with him because I feel like that was really helpful. So that is like how, just through trial and error, like the first semester you're just trying to figure out who clicks with your studying, like your way of studying. If you're some people get super sensitive about joining a group and then the group breaking up. It happens. It's okay. It's normal. Like, you're just trying to see who clicks with you. If you are part of a study group, don't feel like you're obligated to stay in that study group until you finish PA school, even if you're not benefiting from that. The whole point of a study group is you help them and they help you. So if you are the only one helping and you're not getting anything out of it, it's okay to go find a group where it's like mutually helpful. By the time, I think like maybe 3-4 semester into it, I was a part of like different study groups. So I had a study group where I would say maybe like pharmacology, it was perfect for us, but then we couldn't really do like clinical meds together, and then I'll have like a separate group where we studied clinical meds together, and then maybe I'll have like another study group for like clinical applications. I'll have like a one-on-one study with like another classmate, a friend from my class. My class was really like, we were 45 or 48, I don't know, but we were very close. Like my class, there were big groups, but then everybody was also like, the groups were like merging too. So it wasn't like I can only study with this person and that means I cannot study with this other person. It wasn't like that. And we shared resources. And that's the other benefit of, you know, study groups, is you share resources with your classmates. Like some people are just really good at taking good notes and really organizing them. Some people are just good at making like drawing, you know, graphs and like images that would help you understand well. Like everybody comes in with like a unique way of studying, and you really don't even know you need that until you see it, and then you're like, I can't believe like I really needed this so much, right? So that is super like beneficial in PA school, and you can get that through studying with groups and with classmates, and you know, not isolating yourself. I'm not gonna name names, but there's like this girl in my class that's like, oh my god, she was amazing. Like she would take the best notes. She was just talented and like literally God gifted, because she handwrites everything and like concisely and so nice, and then she would share her notes with like the whole class. We benefited so much from her, and shout out to you, like you know who you are. Really super helpful. So the point is, you join study groups, you share resources, you help them, they help you. It's like you're doing it together and you're like pulling each other up. Like everybody wants to succeed and everybody wants the other person to succeed. So don't be that person that, you know, finds something that's super helpful and they keep it to themselves. Share it with your classmates, and also accept help. There's no way you're gonna do everything 100% perfectly by yourself. Other people are better at something, like other people are better than you at something, and it's okay to like get their help. The next thing is resources, like YouTube resources. Honestly, I am so grateful for YouTube and the people that make videos, because sometimes you go to class and you have no idea what's going on. You go to the study group and it still doesn't click. And then you just need that extra thing, and that's where YouTube comes in. There's like so many people that make topics, like the same topic, and if one doesn't, you know, work for you, you can click on another one. Like if you just say like you guys are covering renal, right? And you don't understand the material in class. And the reason why I said renal is basically, renal block is the block that I failed. And the reason I failed is actually because I was really good at renal physiology in undergrad, and I told myself it's gonna come easy to me and I'll pass the class. But PA school renal and undergrad renal was like day and night, like that whole acid-base balances, and it just, exam came and basically I failed. So what did I do after that? Like I had to figure out how to make sure I pass that section on the final. Remember I mentioned earlier, if you fail a block, you have to pass that section on the final. So I got resources from my classmates, like everybody in my group, everybody I studied with just gave me, you know, their notes and everything that they used to study for that block. And then I also went to, you know, YouTube and I Googled like renal physiology, listened to the videos, renal pharmacology, listen to the video, take notes, go to Quizlet, review the questions. Some of the YouTube resources that I used, I wanted to share with you guys, are Osmosis is the best. Like if I could only choose one, it would be Osmosis. Like he has every topic and he explains it so well, and there are the images. like some people are visual learners, some are audio learners, and some are tactile. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but for me, I'm like all three. Like I have to hear, I have to see, and I have to write. And I feel like osmosis does that. Like you can hear and you're following as he's drawing, or like he's making images and diagrams. So that's the first one. For pharmacology, I used Pharmacology Made Easy on YouTube. If you just Google, if you just search Pharmacology Made Easy on YouTube, it will pop up, and they have the topics. Pharmacology is really hard because first of all, you can't even pronounce the medications. It's so confusing, and then there's just too many of them and so hard to remember. So these YouTube videos, sometimes they have like mnemonics to remember, class of drugs, and like the generic names, and it's really good to just like find in that extra resources. I really recommend Pharmacology Made Easy. And the other resource for pharmacology is Speed Pharmacology, also on YouTube. Super helpful. Like I use that, I think, for almost every pharmacology class. So go ahead and check it out. And then there's also the handwritten tutorial. That's what it's called, like handwritten tutorial on YouTube. And I think he covers clinical med stuff like cardiology and endocrine, GI, renal, EENT. Like he has everything in there, and it's organized, and he like draws it as he's talking about it, which I really appreciated. So that is super helpful for all the classes. For clinical app, when you're practicing, I just YouTube that that thing. So if we were doing, for example, GI, and how do you do physical exam for somebody with like abdominal pain, I'll just Google that and I'll just follow it along, and then I'll practice with the classmates. Like you need to be in a study groups, you need to have a friend you study with, because some of the things are hands-on, right? So you're not able to do exam on yourself. So you have to work with a classmate so that you can practice the exam on them and they can practice the exam on you. I think I went through most of the things that I wanted to say. So basically those are like the most resources that I used. And then exam time, it's cumulative, right? For the finals, especially, like how did I study for the final exams? Block exams are a lot easier than the final, because block exams, you're just studying that one section and then you go and you take an exam on it. Finals, it's everything. So what I did is, during the block exams, I made notes on the topics that were really hard for me. So when I'm studying for the final, I go through all the slides at least once, like everything, every slide from every block. I go over it all at once. I zoom through it sometimes, but at least I make sure like I see like what was on that slide, so that in case I don't get extra time to study, at least my brain would be like, I can close my eyes and try to like picture where I saw that, or like it will come back to you, or through process of elimination, you're able to, narrow it down if you have gone through all of it, as opposed to if you haven't seen it and everything is just foreign to you, like the question, the multiple choices, you're just like, what is happening? It's kind of, you're just picking something and moving on, right? Like you can't even eliminate anything at that point. So going over the whole thing, and then after I do that, I study more in depth the sections that were really hard for me. And then like the night before the exam, as usual, I just go to bed at 10:30, and then the morning of, I go to the library a little earlier, maybe like at 6 a.m. if my exam is at 8 a.m. And then I go through like some Quizlets, or some material from the notes that I took, the sections that were hard for me, or just like ask a question, a classmate that I had in mind. Like if something popped and I was like, oh my god, I don't really understand that part, I'll just like a classmate or like a friend to just like explain that little section to me. Something else that me and my friends did were, we would quiz each other. We will just do like a popcorn type of quiz. We'll just like random questions. We'll just like, I'll ask you a question, you will ask me a question, and she will ask a question, and he will ask a question. We each just like throw questions back and forth to make sure like we understood it. Because like the exams, you have 1 minute per question. It doesn't matter if the question, you have to read a paragraph. It doesn't matter if it's just a one-line question, you have 1 minute per question. So by us doing that popcorn and just throwing the questions up and like out to each other, it made us like think fast and like really answer questions fast. So what else can you do during exam, right? Our school, like our program director told us about this like the first day of school, and it really worked for me really well, and I think it worked for a lot of my classmates too. Is when you're taking the exam, you read the last sentence first of the paragraph, because that's where the question is in. If you start reading from the beginning before you get to the ending, then you don't know what they're gonna ask. Like, are they asking me for a diagnosis, or are they asking me for what test to use, like imaging? Are they asking me for like what lab should I order? But if you start from like the bottom, usually it's like, so what diagram, not diagram. So it would be like, what is the most appropriate imaging, for example. So going into the question, starting from the beginning, you have the question in mind, you're just trying to see what's happening so that you already are going to know what imaging to do. For example, if it's like a vascular thing and you need to do like an ultrasound, so if the question said what imaging do you need to do, and you're going through it, and then they say, oh, the person has pain in their leg and they walk and the calf hurts and some form of like vascular question, you're already thinking ultrasound in your head, as opposed to reading the question and you don't even know what they're gonna ask. It will save you so much time by reading the last sentence first and then going through the question. What other tips do I have? I think those are what worked for me the most. I didn't buy any textbook. Honestly, you don't need any textbook. They would provide you with the slides, and then you can supplement with like YouTube resources and like Quizlets and other stuff, and just your notes that you take. I would not spend a penny on a textbook, seriously. Like, I haven't used a single textbook for PA school. I think that's it. If you guys have any other questions regarding like didactic year, please go ahead and ask in the comment below, and I will make sure to make a video about it or just include it in my next video. I really hope this was helpful for you guys. If you guys like what you just saw, go ahead and subscribe, like, share. If you feel like somebody that would benefit from this, again, just go ahead and share. Thank you for tuning in for another Saturday. I appreciate you guys. Bye.